data. We know it's there, those conversations are happening, right? But we haven't always had the tools really to mine that data and understand, because not all data is important data either. How do you think about the challenge of filtering and literally routing this insight, this knowledge, and how do we do that?
So what is really interesting, and one of the insights that I learned as a founder, and I think that my job as a founder is to constantly learn and try to implement that. And that's the job, this is the primary job of a founder. But I think that one of the things that I learned by looking at the area of customer insights is that not everything is an insight for everyone.
Right.
And different people care about different things. So how do we know what each persona, each team, each department in an organization need from that data? Because what is an insight for X is not going to be an insight for Y. And if we are able to, first of all, organize this data, because it first needs to be organized, saved somewhere, joined together. It's very different to look at a survey response, to a ticket, to a call, to review from someone, but all these areas are connected to that customer experience, to that service that we need to provide to the customer. So if we are able to mine all the data, first of all, put it in one place. That's step one, is to bring it somewhere.
Yeah.
Step two is to be able to organize it, to analyze it, to segment it, and segment it based on data, based on customer, based on what each persona wants to listen about. And then we need to be almost like a postman, I like to say, because you are taking the letter and putting it in the right mailbox based on what that insight needs to be given to someone. In the end of the day, it's about actioning on this data and discarding the noise and focusing on what matters now. And that changes from quarter to quarter, month to month, persona to persona. So we need to be the right postman, or use the tools that help us act as a postman and influence the right decision makers based on this data.
How do we know what information is important? How do we know what information needs to go where? Because that is a big part of it, right? Is getting the right info to the right people. So how do you think about that?
So the way I think about this every day while building a tool that helps companies route the right data to the right person and action on it, we need to quantify this data. I think it's like we need to be creative in how we think about this, because it needs to be always connected to what the customer said, because that is actually the reason, but also needs to be connected to who will care about this. So for example, a marketing team would be very different what they want to listen from these insights to what a specific product growth team is working on, the activation of the customers or the onboarding flow of the tool, or maybe what a finance team is working in terms of billing and payments. And all these issues appear from those contact centers and those support chats
Right.
and tickets that customers are reaching out for when they want to upgrade, when they want to churn, when they have issues with changing their email. And all these are the elements that we see while building Dolphin. How we can decipher what the customer said, but then allocate the right label. I call it signal, by the way, because it's a signal.
Signal. Yeah.
It's not definite. It's a signal that we need to listen and then make a decision from. But how do we allocate the right signal based on what the company is currently working on for each team, essentially?
Right.
So it's about having this by a thought process of where it comes from and where it should go.